Half-Life 2 is by no means designed to be a horror game. However, with the theme of government control and the post-apocalyptic atmosphere, it certainly has horror elements. Many will point to Ravenholm as a prime example of Half-Life 2 horror, however I've never found that to be very scary, rather than just an example of an eerie atmosphere. But there's one part of the game that conveys to the player not only fear, but also unease, hopelessness, and confusion. But before we get to that, let me lay some groundwork. In every Half-Life game, the cryptic character of the G-Man can be spotted in odd places throughout the course of the game, stalking you and watching from afar as you progress to the end of your journey. The G-Man is actually a very crucial character to the lore, and always seems to have more control than anyone else presented in the games. Though these G-Man sightings have always been interesting and somewhat unsettling, there's one in particular that stands out as one of the most cryptic and mysterious in the series. This takes place at the beginning of the chapter Anti-Citizen 1, on the map D3C1702. Let me set the scene. You've just teleported away from the prison Nova Prospect, and are told that the teleporter you used has malfunctioned, sending you a week into the future. The Resistance is launching a full-scale attack on the Combine, but things are looking bleak. You immediately move out on your way to the Citadel with Alex's quadrupedal robot named Dog, but a Combine dropship lands and Dog clings onto it. It flies away, rendering you alone as the walls close in and you're forced into a small apartment building you were in early in the game. A strange trumpet noise echoes from down the now-ruined halls, followed by an inhuman siren-like cacophony. You turn a corner and catch a glimpse of the G-Man on an unplugged TV, as it suddenly cuts to black. There's been lots of debate in the community about what this means, but first, let's dive deeper into what we know. The audio used is a mix of two samples, the first being distorted trumpets, which records the standard warm-up procedure of a trumpet in a hauntingly silent, echoing room. The second is known as Is That the Door, which was also used in the Silent Hill 2 soundtrack. It depicts a surreal high tone that overlaps over itself. The visuals of this sighting seem to depict G-Man straightening his tie on a boat in the middle of the ocean, with a bird flapping on his shoulder. It's incredibly cryptic and has many theories as to what it means. Starting with the audio, people have claimed that, when reversed, they hear the voice of what seems to be Alex Vance saying, "Gordon, can you hear me? Everyone is dead." Actually, until now, when I'm writing the script, I could never hear it, but after listening really closely, you can definitely hear some reversed audio at the very beginning of the original track. And listening to the original samples, there definitely isn't that reverse bit, so it's clear that it was added afterwards. However, I really can't make out any words in the mix, nor does the voice particularly sound like Alex. This theory is definitely plausible, however, so I'll play the reversed audio now, and you can decide. As I stated earlier, the visuals are a lot less clear, but the most common theory is that it's a joke reference to a Half-Life 2 map by Valve developer Mark Laidlaw, found in the 2003 beta leak known as Icky Pop. I know it sounds like a late 2000s shock site, but it's actually a surreal cutscene looking thing with a lot of interesting concepts, with the most relevant to this investigation being the appearance of G-Man with a similar crow on his shoulder shown here. This explanation seems pretty cut and dried on the surface, but looking at how it's presented with this uncanny sound file, which is only used here, I feel like there has to be something more. Considering there are only three elements of this image, that being G-Man, the crow, and the boat, I feel like they should all fit in somehow. But let's look at some of these other theories. A symbolic explanation could be the fact that instead of flying away like most birds would, G-Man seems to be in complete control of the crow, and it stays on his shoulder. If we factor in that crows represent death, G-Man is presented as a grim reaper of sorts, which seems to fit in with other theories about the G-Man as a whole. Turning to the only real post online regarding the subject, Reddit user MSMStud theorized in a comment that the whole scene is a metaphor for things not going as planned. The G-Man is on a sinking boat with only a crow that is waiting to scavenge his body. While I like that this takes into account everything that's shown, it seems like G-Man is very much in control of the situation considering the ending of Half-Life 2, which I won't be spoiling here. Another idea is that it's a reference to Charon, the ferryman of the Greek underworld. However, Charon has never been depicted alongside a crow or bird of any kind, and G-Man seems to have more control than what this would symbolize. Maybe the crow is just there to represent death, I'm not sure. The final theory that I could find is that G-Man represents Odin, and the crow is representing his two ravens Hugin and Munin, of whom bring Odin information. The problem is that it's not clear in the context of this theory why G-Man would only have one crow considering Odin has two. This also doesn't account for the boat that G-Man stands on. In the end, I think the most plausible of these theories is the symbolic one, that claims G-Man controls death, especially considering the nature of his character. The audio could be G-Man taunting Gordon by showing him an alternate reality where everyone dies and the Combine wins, but that's under the circumstances that the audio does in fact have Alex Vance talking in the reversed voice. Or the audio could just be creepy for the sole purpose of being creepy, and the reversed voice is added in to make it even creepier, who knows. But yeah, that's the end of the video. If you like this style of video, please consider liking. I don't really care whether or not you subscribe, but I'd like to see where it should go in the future with these videos. Thank you for watching.